Welcome to the Worst of the RIOT podcast. Coming up, the surprising way West Virginians are saying goodbye to Hooters.
Also, why are police officers dancing? And more on the Worst of the RIOT podcast.
Today we've got Dunkin's brand new Dun Kings coffee. You might remember this one being advertised during the Super Bowl with Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez and Matt Damon and Tom Brady. We've got it. It's their brand new coffee. It's an iced coffee. Apparently, this is Ben Affleck's favorite drink. And then we've also got some munchkins that go with it from the special Dun Kings menu. The coffee, Isaiah, what you just tasted, it's a classic iced coffee with vanilla and cream topped with sweet cold foam and cinnamon sugar.
Tastes very good. It tastes very good.
I'm nervous about this. Do you think it's better than the coffee that I make every morning here at Radio U?
Well, it definitely tastes better.
So you're saying they're the real Dun Kings, and I'm a fraud.
You are a fraud, yeah.
I'm a coffee fraud.
If you're trying to compare yourself to that.
Yeah.
What
Ben
I just
Affleck
tasted.
clearly has a leg up.
Not
on
even
me,
close.
At least in that category, the coffee choice category. It is good. It is good, and I don't normally like Dunkin' coffee.
I was nervous because I am a pretty picky coffee drinker.
Mm-hmm.
I was nervous when I saw you didn't make any coffee, and then we got two of these. I was like, we probably could have just gotten one of these and still made coffee because I usually don't like the coffee whenever we get it. But this actually tastes pretty good.
Better than what I could do. I'll say that it has. I usually drink coffee black, and as I've become accustomed to that over the years, I don't like to have my coffee super sweet. It's got the cinnamon sugar. And it is sweetened, but it's not too sweet. It's a pretty good balance. So I'm pretty happy with that.
And I'm not a huge iced coffee person.
Mm-hmm.
This is obviously iced. I like a nice warm coffee to start my day if I'm waking up this early. This I'm okay with for this morning. But I usually would go with an iced coffee if I was waking up later in the morning.
Yeah, I'm with you on
like
that.
A Saturday.
It just feels better unless it's very, very hot outside. Starting the day with a hot coffee just seems to make more sense. Now, I'll tell you, though, I don't think you can get the Dun Kings coffee hot, but I think you can get, they have another, we didn't order this, but a bonus menu item is the hazelnut heartthrob coffee, which you can get hot. And obviously, Dunkin' has the regular hot coffee. Then we also have the munchkins, which I don't think there's anything different about these, except that they're on a skewer. These are just the regular munchkins that they have.
They're donut holes.
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't know it. I told you about munchkins yesterday. You didn't know what they were.
You keep on referring to munchkins as if that's like some regular term that everybody knows.
That's what they're called.
They're donut holes. Is what they are. If you're not familiar with Dunkin' Donuts like I'm not, you'd have no idea what a munchkin is. Doesn't seem to be any more helpful for you as you're spilling everywhere.
And I got powdered sugar on the microphone cover.
Well, I think it's because you're supposed to eat them in like whole, like so.
Maybe I don't want the whole thing. Now I got to vacuum. Now one is ruined. I don't even know what happened to it.
Pretty good.
And I have a mess to clean up to start the day. If I was driving, I'd be thoroughly upset. I thought this would be more convenient. It did not save me any trouble at all. In fact, it made more issues for me. So the skewer, munchkins, I give that. I had higher hopes for that. I mean, they taste fine. Do you think those are better or worse than our tried and true comparison, which is Tim Hortons Timbits?
Worse.
Yeah, I'm. Maybe that's why they took.
I think they're a little bit drier.
Yeah,
is the issue. I can tell looking at the honey glazed one that's just drier than a Timbit is, which I don't like my donuts dry.
Yeah,
I like them nice and glazed.
They put yours on in a different order than mine. Yeah, Timbits are definitely better. I give that a fail, but I give the coffee a big thumbs up. I give it a 4 out of 5. I would order that again.
I would give it like a 3.8 only because it's iced. I'm not a big iced coffee guy, but it's a pretty good iced coffee.
Love an early morning food fight.
Do yourself a favor and follow The Riot on Instagram at RadioU Riot.
They gave us the munchkins on the pink skewers, supposedly to make it easier to eat your donut holes while you're driving, right? But then I was thinking, the one end of the skewer is pokey. The end of the skewer that had the munchkins on it.
Of course, because how else would they enter?
Yeah. Except that could stab you right down the throat if you're trying to eat while you're driving. You have to come to an abrupt stop. So I think that's I don't like that idea at all.
I think it's all about the timing in which a smart person would use the Munchkin stick. Maybe at a stoplight. That's a safe place.
Yeah.
Maybe at a stop sign. Pull over on the highway. Indulge into your Munchkins.
Yeah.
Probably not down a bumpy back road.
Are you saying that I'm not smart?
I would say that
because I couldn't even do it sitting still at a desk.
If you came in here and said that the Munchkin stick poked you in the throat while you were driving, I would say, sounds like you used it at a bad time.
Yeah.
Similar to
smart.
if you were trying to drink your coffee in the car, you don't drink it when a bump is coming.
You got to watch for the bumps. I also have an update yesterday. We talked on the show how yesterday was the first day I was getting back on the trying to lose weight bandwagon.
How are your donut holes?
Well, what do those add up to?
Nah, we aren't even counting those. We didn't even finish them.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't. I dropped them on the floor. And but the other thing that I was doing, besides trying to cut calories and continue on, this is no issue for me, is my walking. I get a lot of steps in every day, but I was trying to add push-ups. I'm trying to do, and you told me I should go aim for 100 push-ups. So you want to know how yesterday went?
I do.
I got 30.
30?
Yeah, I got 30.
Are you joking me?
No, I got 30. And
we were aiming for 100.
Well, I forgot about it while I was here after the show.
Well, you should be trying to knock it out while you're at work.
Yeah, I know. I forgot. And so then I got home and I did 30. But that feels like a good place to start because I can't lift my arms above my head right
so
now.
Today you're sore.
Yeah.
From your
after
30
push-ups. Yes.
Goodness. Well, 100 is going to be, you're going to be arms falling off.
I know.
In a couple of days.
But I don't know. It probably has been so long since you've had this feeling. But for me, since I haven't done any workouts for so long,
it hurts so bad, doesn't it?
But I feel like I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger because it feels like, when it feels like too big, like I can't even bend over to tie my shoes because my arms are so large.
Your
now.
Biceps are so inflated. You're like SpongeBob.
Yes, yeah. I got anchor arms. Is exactly what I'm going through right now.
That's awesome.
After 30 push-ups.
Well, maybe 100 today is just crazy talk then. Maybe we should be doing 40.
I might not even be able to hit that.
You got to space
the way
it out.
I'm feeling. Don't you think it would be weird though? Where am I supposed to do them in my office?
You have to do them in your office.
What if somebody
You can't do them anywhere else.
Should I be facing the door or away from the door?
Facing.
So I can make eye contact with people as they walk by.
You need to be facing, and the reason you need to be facing is so that if someone does walk by and see you, you need to know that they saw you.
I don't want because there could be people gawking behind me.
If you're facing the other way, then people will still see you, but you won't know that they saw you.
Yeah.
You need to know that they saw you.
All right. I think I agree, but it would be awkward to see, the
Karen walk by.
Yeah, or Karen, and she's just looking at me, and I look back up at her, and then I just back to pushing. Useless knowledge is next.
You don't always have to agree with Isaiah to always disagree with Hudson. The Riot. Radio U.
Isaiah has your muffin-themed useless knowledge question of the day.
4 U.S. states have adopted a state muffin. Can you give me one of the states and their muffin?
All right. I'm thinking which states feel like they probably eat a lot of muffins. I'm thinking like northerly states because it feels like something you eat when you need it's a cold morning, you get a coffee and a muffin to wake you up. So I'm thinking Connecticut. Connecticut is the nutmeg state. What's the kind of muffin that would have nutmeg in it? I don't know, blueberry. So Connecticut, blueberry muffin.
Some wild thinking there, but not totally inaccurate.
Uh-huh.
Some of these are northern. Actually, all of these are northern states.
I knew it. I told you.
But not always in the Northeast.
Florida, Texas, they wouldn't have a state muffin.
So Massachusetts, one of the 4, their state muffin, corn.
Corn muffin.
But that was not the one that felt obvious to me.
Okay.
Then we have Minnesota. Theirs is the blueberry muffin. Still didn't feel
not obvious.
Very obvious. Washington sharing with Minnesota, they also claim the blueberry muffin.
A natural connection.
But the one that felt obvious to me was New York and the apple muffin.
Oh, because of the Big Apple. I don't know if that's necessarily obvious.
It felt obvious. I went either New York Big Apple, or I would have also accepted if you said maybe a peach muffin from Georgia, because those are the two states that coincide with the fruit.
Yeah, that would have made sense.
Let's do some rapid fire.
That.
The Muffin Man, a real character back in the early 1820s, received how much money at the end of a hard day's work?
$2.
No! No!
4 pennies. He received 4 pennies.
4 pennies.
At the end of a hard day's work.
Is that in a song?
No, that's like how much he actually received. The 14-year-old that ran around as the Muffin Man. How about this one? This is a muffin from another country. Can you name the country that coincides with this muffin?
Okay.
It's described as a flatbread that's small, flat, and round. What country owns this muffin?
That doesn't sound like a muffin at all. Saudi Arabia.
Wait for it. Here it comes.
I was looking for an English muffin. Are you familiar with an English muffin?
Yeah. Does that count?
What about the most popular muffin in the United States? Which one comes in number one?
Probably chocolate chip.
Chocolate chip was number 2. What's number 2? It was blueberry.
Yeah. I thought
between
of
those two.
But that's nonsense.
Blueberry's my favorite, but I have come around to chocolate chip in recent years.
What kind of person would see both of those and choose a blueberry?
Me.
I can't believe that.
Are you a chocolate chip guy?
I don't love it that much, but I just know it's better than blueberry because blueberry's not that good.
See, blueberries, but it's that's my favorite. But I have not so much come around chocolate chip, but like a double chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
I would like a double chocolate.
One of the worst things to me is when you think you're getting chocolate chip and then it turns out to be blueberry.
Yeah.
Hudson is the maple syrup, and Isaiah is the power protein flapjack. This is The Riot on Radio U.
Going to the movie theater, the cinema as some call it, feels like harmless fun, doesn't it? We love the cinema here on The Riot. Talk about it all the time. But according to a recent study commissioned by online casino Betway for some reason, turns out going to the movie theater might not be as harmless as it seems. That's because they found in their study that there's significantly more bacteria on the average movie theater seat than there is on your toilet seat.
That's no good.
No good. They found that on average, there is 14 times more bacteria on a movie theater chair than there is on the average toilet seat. That's a wide margin, but that's not even the worst of it all. Worse than the movie theater seats are the movie theater cup holders, which contain, on average, 2,396 bacteria colonies. That is 18 times more bacteria than is found on the standard toilet seat. Makes you think twice about sitting down, putting your cup in there, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't make you think twice?
Doesn't even make me think for a second about it.
It doesn't make you think once.
I think about all of the public places you go. It's all gross. There's bacteria everywhere.
Except the toilet seat.
Toilet seat's clean.
Notoriously clean, apparently.
You think about staying in a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
You think about using an elevator, a shopping cart, a water fountain, a restaurant, sitting down, eating some food, grabbing the menus, going to the gym, swimming in a swimming pool that I've probably peed in myself. And you're going to complain about sitting in a chair at the movie theater?
Mm-hmm.
They're empty anyway. Who's going to the movie theater? All we talk about is how nobody goes.
Yeah, the numbers.
They should be cleaner than ever.
Bad. Yeah. Maybe they just can't afford to pay anybody to clean the seats. I don't ever think it's fair. Every study about bacteria always compares it to a toilet seat because that always makes everything else look bad. But I always say this. You think about a toilet seat. What touches a toilet seat? The backs of your legs. What else touches the backs of your legs? Your pants. That's it. Why would the backs of your legs have a bunch of bacteria? Therefore, why would a toilet seat have a bunch of bacteria? Doesn't make any sense. Also, I was looking at the bacteria they found. And granted, they said in one of the cup holders there was mold out of all the ones they tested. But other than that, looking at the bacteria that they found on these movie theater seats and in these cup holders, nothing sounds all that threatening. It's just like, I mean, there's bacteria literally on everything. So you're always dealing with bacteria every day.
And I think, too, like, I'm not saying that if you drop popcorn on the floor, eat it. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying I think you're safe to sit down there. And it's always cold in there, too. Mm-hmm. And so more than likely, you're going to be wearing a hoodie. You're going to be wearing a crew neck. You're fine.
You got some, that's medical protection right
also,
there.
why is it so cold in there?
I don't know. It used to be like in the olden days, I was like where you could go. It was hot summer day. That's
movie theater.
Yeah, because of the air conditioning. But now, I mean, there's air conditioning everywhere. I don't know. I was also, the last thing I was going to say is, if you don't like seeing these numbers, you want somebody to test your couch where you're probably watching movies instead. See how much bacteria is on there. Bet you don't. You don't want to know those numbers.
Some people would say, I clean my own home. Uh-huh. Whereas the movie theaters, they doubt they get clean.
Yeah.
If you ask me, I would say, my couch probably is gross because I have a stinky dog in my house.
Yeah. I mean, movie theaters have employees that supposedly clean.
But they don't wipe down every seat. That's why this place is dirty.
Yeah, maybe so.
Add a little Riot to your Instagram feed. Follow @RadioU Official. The Riot. Radio U.
Many dudes, guys like us, bros, like to do. We love rankings. That's why there's a college football, college basketball rankings every single week.
I'm looking at a ranking right now while you're talking.
What's your ranking?
I'm looking at the ranking of the most unhealthy snacks as you're speaking.
Yeah.
That's the kind of things I do while
what's number one?
I didn't want to tell you yet. Yeah. I'll unveil that later on.
Oh, we got to work our way to the top. I think ranking stuff is usually fun, given stuff like power ratings and whatever. That's why we do Choice Champions here, drafting stuff. Isaiah, you want to do a quick Choice Champions impromptu draft, even though it's not a Thursday? Let's do it. Let's do Worst Sins. You get the first pick.
You got, whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can rank them high.
You don't want to miss on this one.
I mean, worst sins, murder has got to be number one.
Murder,
right?
Got to be one of the top ones.
I'm taking murder at one almost every time.
I mean, that's a solid choice. Solid choice. You would regret it later if you didn't pick murder as the worst sin in the top of our Choice Champions draft. I was talking about this with Nene yesterday. We were talking about how it feels like people love to rank the sins. And isn't it so funny? They always seem to rank the sins, the ones really high as the worst sins are the ones that they don't do. But the ones that they probably do are like, well, that one's kind of,
Like lying?
Yeah, that's not, that's like barely, you wouldn't even draft that. That would barely make the draft at all.
That wouldn't even make that draft.
Yeah.
That might not even make honorable mentions.
That's an unsigned free agent is lying. But what's crazy is that's not how God thinks about it. God is pretty clear that he is not ranking the sins. So if you think there's some either like, well, there's this certain sin, and if you do it, then that's it for you, and God is done with you and doesn't want to have anything to do with you. Or some people think this too. Well, maybe it's not exactly that way, but there's like a tipping point where if you commit 100 sins, if you do this one sin 1,000 times or something, that's it. Jesus is done with you. That's not how it is. God doesn't have a hierarchy of sins. He's not power rating every single sin you do, everything you do wrong and ranking it all up. And at some point you hit the point of no return. Everybody sins. We've all made mistakes. We've all had our bad choices in life. Hopefully murder still pretty easy to agree, still comes in near the top, but that's more of a legal thing and less of a how God sees it thing. God sees everybody worthy of forgiveness, no matter how many times, no matter what it is you've done. Jesus wants to take you back. He still loves you. He still wants a relationship with you. And that's an amazing thing. So stop worrying about the sin power rankings. Stop worrying about how other people judge the sins that you've done and rank them, and start worrying about what God thinks, because he loves you and he wants to be with you in your life and help you through every single day. If you're ready for that, start talking to him wherever you are. Just say, hey, Jesus, I want to know more. I want some of this. And you can go to radiou.com/free gift as well.
There's never been a can of worms they didn't open. The Riot, Radio U.
The town of Charleston, West Virginia. Isaiah, have you ever been?
Charleston. I don't think I've been to Charleston, West Virginia. There's Charleston in the Carolinas, too. That's the bigger one.
There's several Charlestons.
Yeah.
But the one in West Virginia is the one that we're focusing on. And it's a sad time there because...
we're going through sad times.
Yeah. Yes. It's a sad time in Charleston, Virginia because the town is set to lose their beloved Hooters.
Hooters?
Yeah. Yeah.
No chance.
Hooters is about to go by the wayside in Charleston, West Virginia.
I'm not playing sad music for a Hooters going out.
Shockingly, Charleston, West Virginia can no longer support their Hooters anymore. And so coming up this Friday, this is a very big moment for the city of Charleston. And so on Friday, at the location of their beloved Hooters in Charleston, West Virginia, specifically in Kanawha City, that area, there's going to be supposedly a candlelight vigil as a proper send-off to the Hooters of Charleston, West Virginia. There's
a candlelight vigil?
Yeah, so that the whole town can come out, the whole city can come out and
the
show
whole
its
city
support
coming out
for Hooters on its final days. You want to hear what's crazy, though? I mean, that's not crazy enough. This Hooters closed 4 years ago.
What?
It closed 4 years ago.
Then why are they talking about it now?
Because it's about to get demolished.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because I think that they said they were going to reopen is the thing.
Yeah, and now that's definitely never going to happen. It closed 4 years ago. You know what happened 4 years ago is COVID. And so it seems that COVID, one of its many victims, was the Hooters of Charleston, where they posted out, this is back in 2020, "It is with heavy hearts we have decided to close until it is safe to do business again. We treasure our loyal customers and employees and look forward to coming back even better." Those customers clearly were very loyal because 4 years later, they're hosting a candlelight vigil to say goodbye to Hooters before it's demolished to make way for a new Sheetz. So the hand strikes and gives a flower.
But these guys, the guys that are upset here about this Hooters going away, they're not satisfied with the Sheetz. They weren't worried
I don't think so.
They weren't worried about food, Hudson.
I don't know. They said that
I'm looking at the comments. I'm looking at the comment section.
Yeah.
And they're still replying, "Please reopen soon." Still waiting. If you show your face at this candlelight vigil for the Hooters closing, your wife should never forgive you. There's no way you can live this one down.
Yeah, that's embarrassing. But I don't know. It could be a type of thing where at first it was just going to be a few sad guys, but now that it's kind of become a fun online thing, it'll be a real community building event, and just the whole town will come out possibly. It says
not 4 years later.
It says that one last time, even though the restaurant's been closed for so long, they are going to have one last time, the wings, like Hooters style, and the goat cheese, the goat sandwich, the strip cheese.
Oh, jeez.
They're going to have it.
See, if you're still upset, so upset that you're willing to go to the candlelight vigil 4 years later, then your intentions are in the wrong places. You cannot care this much about a Hooters. Or you can't care this much about any restaurant.
Yeah, forget about Hooters.
Forget about Hooters.
Uh-huh.
Yet again, your wife should be ashamed of you.
Yeah.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on Radio U.
You've been openly critical of NASA here on the show in the past. You feel like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I get the impression that you feel like they're just not doing enough.
I agree.
Well, I have here an opportunity for you to put your money where your mouth is. You want to help NASA accomplish something? Applications are now open for you to be a part of NASA's next Mars surface mission.
As in going.
As in simulating going to Mars.
Well, then.
Because you can't go to Mars without pretending like you go to Mars. First, you need to know what it would be like to be on Mars. And so NASA is now planning their next simulated Mars surface mission. They're planning on 3 of these. They've already done this once. So this is round number 2. It's going to kick off in the spring of next year. And you're talking about a 4-person volunteer crew living and working inside a 1,700 square foot 3D printed habitat. They call it the Mars Dune Alpha at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston. So you can go to Texas. You can pretend you're on Mars.
See, yet again, we've done this before.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do this 3 more times. And I know we want to get the testing right.
Yeah.
I know we want to get it in line here.
You don't want to be unprepared
when we send people there.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm like 4 rounds of tests.
Yeah.
It feels like we're ready to do some things off of this planet, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel like we can leave here and do something cool there? I mean, at this point, Mars, it feels like we should already be there.
I just think you're underestimating how difficult it is.
I think you're underestimating the amount of money they're spending every year. $25.4 billion budget.
Uh-huh.
And you're building some sort of fake little fantasy land in Texas? That's what we're spending $25 billion on? Seems like a waste.
Yeah, but you don't want this to happen. Think about this. We're like, fine, let's skip all the practice and the testing and whatever. Let's just go straight to Mars. And then you get to Mars and then you realize that, it would have been really helpful to have this. You ever had that? You go on vacation, you're like, man, this is a cool vacation, but it would have been really helpful if we had this, if we knew that we needed this before we got here type thing. And that's, but Mars, there's no going back. There's no second chances. If we mess it up the first time, that's just over.
I agree with what you're saying, your sentiment here. But I also think that this is a great way to look at it. If I just went off of just the history of NASA, right?
Yeah.
We landed on the moon like back in like 60s or 70s, whatever it was, a long time ago.
Yeah.
And now it's 2024. It's been like 60 years. We haven't done it again since.
Yeah.
And so if I had assumed the whole Mars thing, realistically, what are we thinking? 60 years probably be between now and then when we're gonna land on there. So then I'm gonna pay every year, give NASA money so they can do their little playground here in Texas.
Yeah.
And then 60 years from now, when I'm long gone, they're gonna land on Mars. Maybe we're not ready for Mars then. Just say we're not ready.
We're not ready, but this is how we get ready.
Yeah, but what are we getting ready for? Are we getting ready for like a 10-year mission to Mars or like a 100-year mission to Mars?
Well, you know what they say.
How many playground trips do we need to make?
Is that the first mission to Mars for the people who go, it will be their last and only mission to Mars, which is why this, I think, is an even better opportunity because you get the experience of going to Mars without actually going to Mars and dying there.
That's true.
So I think this is actually,
for your buck.
Yes, that's right. And nobody's ever been to Mars. The first people to go, there's a realistic shot. They go and they're like, wow, this actually sucks more than I thought it would. If you go practice in Texas first, then you can be like, well, I'm glad I just practiced and didn't actually go because I don't think I would have been very happy living out the rest of my days there.
And if you get to go to the Texas one, no one's going to be like, oh, you didn't play in the playground in Texas, the Mars playground. But if you do go to real Mars, everyone's going to say, you didn't actually land on Mars.
They won't believe you.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
You wanted to circle back to the unhealthy snacks we talked about earlier.
Yes, you teased ahead at that. We call it a tease in the biz.
I've got a list. Let's do the top 10, right?
Uh-huh. What is the criteria here?
Of most unhealthy snacks?
Yeah.
Just unhealthiness.
Just nothing redeeming about them.
Nutrition. Yeah. Bad nutrition. High in calories, high in fat, high in sugar, low in protein, just bad for you.
Will be top of the list. Probably like a Milky Way.
See, that we're not doing. It's not like chocolate bars.
No.
These are snacks.
Snacks, okay.
So these are like chips. There's like 4 things you would consider chips up here.
Okay.
Things that you would consider a little snack, a little snacky snack.
I'm worried that Cheetos might be on the list.
Cheetos. makes up 2 spots on the top 10. The number 10 spot is the Crunchy Cheetos.
Okay.
Coming in at the number 7 spot is the Cheeto Puffs.
Well, then I'm eating the healthier option of the Cheetos.
Yeah, you're eating the regular Cheetos.
Yeah, I can rest assured. Sleep easy.
The other chip that came in the top 10, coming in at the 9 spot, was Doritos Nacho Cheese.
Yeah, there's no way. No way those are good for you.
In the top 10, we also have 2 cookies.
Chip Ahoy's?
Chip Ahoy's at the 8 spot. Come on.
Probably Oreos.
At the 6th spot.
Yeah, but do those count because you have those with milk, and milk has a lot of nutrients.
No.
So I don't
milk
think
ain't saving you.
I don't think that those are. You don't eat those plain.
So now we've made our way to the top 5.
Yeah, the most unhealthy snacks.
The most unhealthy snacks. One of them being a spread. A spread.
Well, it can't be peanut butter.
Not peanut butter.
That'd be blasphemy. So, because there's definitely, I guess. Could it be jelly?
It's Nutella.
Nutella.
Coming in at the 5 spot, Nutella. I always thought, this is wild. I always thought Nutella was a healthy version of peanut butter growing up.
Uh-huh.
Not true. Way worse.
I don't know if I thought it was healthy.
I thought it was healthy because I'd never
but
tried it.
I didn't think it was worse than, I didn't think it could be vastly worse than peanut butter.
Oh, it's bad. It's real bad.
What's so bad about it?
Just the calories and the sugar. A ton of sugar.
Oh, yeah, it is sugar.
The
in
sugar.
there, Yeah.
Coming in the top 4, there's no great way for me to describe these, so I'll just give them to you.
Yeah.
The 4 spot, a snack pack of chocolate or vanilla pudding.
Yeah, nothing about those seem healthy,
But
do
they're
they?
so good.
Yeah,
though.
they are good.
Number 3 is the strawberry Pop-Tarts. You cannot eat Pop-Tarts.
No, Pop-Tarts are
horrible.
Stay away. Stay away.
The 2 spot, this is shocking. Snyder's Hot Buffalo Wing Pretzel Pizzas.
That's crazy.
Isn't
pretzels?
that crazy?
How can the pretzels be that bad?
The sodium and the carbs, it's horrible. And then coming in at the number 1 spot.
The very most unhealthy
This is shocking.
snack.
Shocking. People would convince yourself that this is healthy. I thought this is healthy.
Uh-huh.
It's the cheese sandwiches. The Ritz Bits cheese sandwiches.
I thought about that. I thought then they couldn't be.
They couldn't be the 1
Yeah.
spot, right? No, they are. It's this list at least. It says that the Ritz Bits cheese sandwich crackers, which for many people, it feels like a healthy snack.
You could give those to a toddler. You'd think you're giving them something halfway decent for them.
Yeah, and like if you go to the store and you grab the cheese and cracker sandwiches, you're assuming like, oh, I'm not grabbing cookies.
Now,
I'm grabbing something with a little bit of nutrients
right.
here.
Yeah, some
No.
cheese. Now I'm picturing like somebody babysitting or whatever, and they just heard this list. They got a child they're taking care of, and they're like, the
What do I
kid
feed
grabs
'em?
the Ritz Bits cheeses, and they're like, no, you got to pick something healthier. Go grab the Cheetos.
Yes.
Go get the Cheetos. Those are way higher on the rankings of healthier snacks.
Yeah, of this 10, I would say I don't indulge in many of these a lot.
Yeah.
But the chips would be the one that I have the most of.
Yeah, I think
Probably the
Cheetos is
Doritos.
definitely the weakness for me. Is the only one that might lead me astray on here.
But
So,
the good thing
I'm feeling
is
okay.
they're all unhealthy. You just got to choose. You can only have like one of them, one or two.
Moderation.
Pick your 1 or 2.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
And Isaiah, I think you should open up the Riot hotline for this one.
877-2-RADIO-U.
What is one thing that someone did that changed your opinion of them for the better?
That's a great question.
That last part is important. Because if I said, what's one single thing somebody did that changed your opinion of them, I can imagine we'd get a million people sending stuff in. I saw my girlfriend cheating on me. And so that massively changed. Well, yeah, obviously. But what are some things, singular moments or like individual kind of actions that somebody did that are like, well, now actually, I think a lot better of you now. I'll tell you the reason. And I think this can be for people you know, can be for celebrities, because the thing that got me thinking about this, we talked about yesterday on the show, the new movie, The Iron Claw, starring Zac Efron. Very good movie. Didn't get nominated for any Oscars. A lot of people are upset about that. I'm one of them. Zac Efron, the star of the movie, does a great job. And previously to this movie, I think I'm not alone thinking of him as more of a pretty boy. Didn't really seem like a serious actor. Like maybe talented, but he never showcased it. And then he goes ahead in this movie and does something you didn't expect he could do. Totally changed my thoughts on him. Now, next time Zac Efron has a movie coming out, maybe it's a serious movie. Maybe it's a movie that actually will make you think a little bit. It's not just him with his shirt off, even though he does have his shirt off a lot in Iron Claw. So what's one thing that somebody did that changed your opinion of them for the better? 8772 Radio U.
I think a lot of people think probably in their day-to-day lives.
Mm-hmm.
I think a big one is like how you treat other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of character values here. Even when you have no benefits, those are big ones for me. Another one, your awareness. That's a big thing that I've been talking about recently. It's like your awareness of a situation or how somebody else is acting.
Yeah.
If you know that somebody else is going to get really upset if they lose the board game, then you just let them win. And so sometimes when you see people do things like that, when they have high awareness about maybe another character flaw in an individual in the group, and they cater to them, that's a good way for me to look at them and say, very good. That changes my opinion of you immediately.
That's a good point. That's a good one.
Because there's certain friends that you have where you have to cater to them more, whether they just like get annoyed easily or they have a short temper or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And so I'm someone who I know my friends really well, so I can cater to them, even though they never cater to me. But I can cater to these weenies that are my friends. And so if you can also cater to them, then I'm always impressed with that character ability.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, just knowing sometimes when to hold your tongue when somebody has an opportunity to say something, and then they go ahead and they just don't, because that's something we could probably learn here on the Riot. 8772 Radio U. What's something that somebody did, whether you know them or whether they're a celebrity, whatever, that one thing that totally changed your opinion of them for the better? 8772 Radio U. Isaiah, I've got one that if you haven't thought of it yet, you're going to kick yourself for not thinking of it.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
Let us know your answer to this question. What is one thing that someone did that massively changed your opinion of them for the better? That's important, because I think if we thought one thing that somebody did that massively changed your opinion of them and just left it at that, we just get a whole bunch of negativity. A whole bunch of, well, they tweeted this, this one belief. I didn't know they thought like that. And so, boom. Yeah, there's a million examples of that. But how can somebody quickly change your opinion of them for the better? Jeffrey says, Chris Rock, when he got slapped, he took it like a champ. He wasn't upset, but honestly concerned and played it very cool. That's a good answer.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, I asked my wife this question last night. She said the same thing. Chris Rock, standing up there, not fighting back, not, just literally rolling with the punches, was pretty impressive. Susanna says, when somebody apologizes for something they did that they knew I didn't know was them.
That's a great one.
Man, that's huge. Yeah, somebody could get away with something and they still feel like they need to apologize. That's a big boost. And then Regina says that when she learned that Ashton Kutcher is heavily involved in catching sex traffickers. I didn't even know that. But assuming that it's true, I don't know why Regina would lie to us. That's impressive.
That's a great one.
Yeah, that's a good trait. That's a good, obviously, a great cause to get behind. Here's another one, Isaiah. Way less important. But the number one thing that I think changed my opinion of somebody, the biggest it would be 180, right? 180, because 360 is just
all the way back around.
Yeah.
Yep.
The biggest 180 is when LeBron left Miami to come back to Cleveland. I
spun it back.
Hated LeBron every moment of his NBA career until I'm coming home. I'm coming home. And I'm not even a Cavs fan. I was just like, him going back to Cleveland, I appreciate that. And ever since then, I've been kind of a LeBron supporter.
So you were a hater in Miami. He said he's going to come back to Cleveland. And then all was forgiven.
Turned it all around.
You unburn the jersey, let LeBron come back.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a great one.
Yeah. Another one I have, this is way different. But when I was growing up, then this is one of the first ones I thought of too. When I was growing up, my pastor at my church, Pastor Jim, everybody has a Pastor Jim, I feel. Pastor Jim, when I saw him watching a show that had a curse word in it, and you're like, what? He was watching a curse word show, and that changed your opinion of him for the better? Yes, because has anybody had a guy like this, your pastor, who, it wasn't like he was a strict guy. It wasn't like he was angry or anything, but he just seemed like the type of guy that you picture him. He would like preach in church, and then he'd go home, and then he'd sit in like a dark office and just have like one light shining on him as he flipped through a Bible. And that's like the only way you could picture him. And then I happened to see, I was over at his house one day, and he was watching TV. He was watching some normal show. It's probably Law and Order or something. And not only that, but at a curse word, it's like, oh, this guy's like, he's all right. Like, he's normal. Like, he just made him normal. And it's like, that totally changed how I viewed him in a positive way.
Another one for me. This has happened to me recently. As my girl E is meeting a lot of my friends, a lot of my girlfriends, a lot of my guy friends, introduced to people that she's never met before. It's very difficult to be the new person in a lot of groups. And so I really appreciate when people go out of their way to include someone that's new. And so like my girlfriends, obviously we're all hanging out in a big group with all my friends, but my girlfriends who have like asked her if she wanted to play the games and go out of their way to talk to her, even though they don't have to do that. Yeah. You don't have to do that with someone who's new, but they do it anyway. And that makes me really appreciative towards those people. And another person who turned their life around, RDJ.
Robert Downey Jr.
He is. I think everybody, once he started hitting it off with Iron Man, I think that changed the way a lot of people looked at him.
I didn't have a built-in opinion of him before Iron Man, but I do know that he had some
wasted talent is what he was called.
rough times for RDJ, but he's back. He's back ever since Iron Man. Man, good question. This is how you win people over. These are the ways you do it.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
Social media not pleased that the police department for New York City has its very own dedicated dancers, and they showed up.
What?
They showed up on news station PIX 11 in New York City on Thursday to perform their routine. The video has gone viral with people questioning, why does the NYPD have their very own dance team? And particularly people wondering, comparing it to like, are they actually paying these people to do this when like they're cutting library funding and school music programs and all the other things that we'd love tax dollars probably to go to. Instead, people are saying it's going to this dance team.
Well, the city of New York has to feel safe knowing the dance team is there to protect and serve.
Yeah, they do. I was reading more, and I don't know if this makes it better or worse, because I was like, well, is this like their job? Do they have, was there like a job?
No chance,
was there
right?
just a job listing put out on Indeed or whatever, sign up for the dance team, and then it was by the NYPD. But apparently these gals, it's all women, it seems, they do this after. So these are police officers, and these ladies will practice after their like patrols are over. It says they practice 2 to 3 times a week for 2 to 3 hours, usually after a shift patrolling the streets.
So these are all officers.
There's actually officers, and this dance thing is another thing they do. They started doing this in 2022, but it's not clear to me. I mean, I think they're getting paid for it.
No, they're not. They cannot be, right? This is a group. This is an after-office activity. This is like if you and I went and did some dance thing after we got off work. There's no way we're getting paid for that.
I don't know, but I think, I mean, I hope that's true, that it's like this is their,
club.
NYPD, the police officers, that's their job. And then this is just, they have the shirts, but it's like we're just affiliated with it.
It's like if we had like a softball team here at Radio U.
Right,
like
you don't
a
get
men's
paid
league
to go play.
softball
Yeah,
team.
right, to go play in softball.
No.
Which, by the way, the New York Police Department, I don't know about softball, but it does have, along these same lines, its own paintball team, rugby football club, and pistol team.
Oh, the pistol team.
Yeah.
Which
I mean, you'd think they'd be good at that.
My next question: Where are they performing? Where do they go? And they do
I'm
this
glad
because
you
I'll tell you
asked
this
this.
much: this dance routine here they did on PIX, whatever this news channel is. I mean, it's not my favorite. It's not the most impressive one I've seen. They're okay.
It does
This isn't
have,
like if you showed up at any event and did this dance, people wouldn't be like, "Holy moly, stomp just happened!" Like, no.
It does have, watching the video, it could be the setting, but it does have more of an air of like an aerobics class, like a video aerobics class that your mom will watch on YouTube more than like an actual dance team.
Like America's Got Talent or something.
Also could be because it's in a TV news studio and not like where you would normally see dancers. But you asked where they perform. I actually know where they perform.
Oh, no.
They perform at police versus firefighters games. We all know like those. That's a thing in New York.
Got it.
Also galas. And this is
vague.
I think this is helpful. They go to schools to promote physical and mental health as well, which is important.
I hate it. I'm not gonna lie, I hate it.
If they're not getting paid, if this is just a hobby,
I know it's
and they're
a
just
hobby.
wearing the NYPD shirts,
I hate it.
They all happen to be police officers, and this could be a thing too. It's like, hey, look, we're police officers, but look, we like to have fun
but
too.
we dance.
Yeah, we're not just out here pulling people over and whatever. We're not just the meanies that stop the bad people that are going to stop you from speeding or jaywalking. We're also like to dance.
Yeah. I hate it. I'm not going to lie. I hate it. I hate every second of this.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
Tipping culture, tip creep has gotten out of control. Everywhere wants you to tip always, and it's hard to know. It's hard to say no, and so you have to make some real boundaries, put up some real boundaries, some guardrails to make sure you're not tipping too much, too often, I should say. I have one guy that's going around on TikTok. His name is Andrew, who's come up with a few simple rules that he goes by when it comes to tipping that has started a lot of debate. So let me go through these rules to see what you think. Rule number 1, if you get bad service, he doesn't tip.
There you go.
That is, he tries to be clear about it that, it's got to be real bad. But if you just aren't even putting in the basic effort as a server or elsewhere where you might tip, that's an excuse for him to not tip. You ever not tipped like a waitress or something because of bad
just
service?
Horrible service?
Yeah.
I'm sure I have at some point.
I've never done that. I've never done that intentionally, but I don't know that I've ever gotten service bad enough to warrant that. Next, he never tips on to-go orders.
There you go. Neither do I.
Yeah, I'm with him on that. Now this is tough. This is different. This is where you draw a line that you do tip even if, let's say, the food is bad, because that's not the waitress or the waiter, or like if you, like in scenarios where you get fine service, but the outcome is bad, you still tip because it's not in the control of the person that the tip is actually supposed to go to. I think that's a good rule. I think a lot of people miss on that one. If they're looking for an excuse not to tip, it's like, oh, the food sucked, I'm not tipping, but that's not the server's fault. Next, this is good too. If you're putting in like, let's say DoorDash or whatever, if you have the option, you always tip after, not before.
Yes.
Which I know when it comes to, I can't remember if it's DoorDash or Grubhub or whatever, whichever one of these, or maybe it's multiple, but that can possibly run you into some issues because drivers are much more likely to take your order if you tip beforehand. So you could be waiting a while if you stay hard and fast on that rule that you're not tipping till afterwards. But then again, are we sometimes tipping It's getting out of control, so you got to put up your boundaries. And then the last one here is he only tips at restaurants, bars, and casinos, and sometimes if he gets his hair cut.
See, those seem like the appropriate places. I'm trying to think of other places that you could tip.
Well, we talked yesterday about like tipping your Uber, your Lyft driver. I think you tip drivers.
You're a driver tipper.
I think the DoorDash driver gets a tip. The delivery driver gets a tip. If I go pick up the order myself, though, I'm not tipping the pizza place. But I'll tip if I get it. If the pizza place delivers to me, then yes. So he doesn't include that. Haircuts, you got to tip. You got to tip the barber. And I feel like this is super old school, and I've never had to do this. But like bellhops. Like at a
bellhop?
Yeah. In case you ever happen to have somebody carrying your bags for you or something at a hotel, I think you have to tip them. You're supposed to tip them too. I'd love to know what it's like to have one of those one day.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to do a good job of setting rules for yourself, because if you don't have rules for places that you do or do not tip at, then every time somebody shows you one of those little screens, you guys are going to feel as if you need to give them a tip. Yeah. Which you don't have to. Because I've never had it to where I press no tip and the person be like, why didn't you tip me? Why didn't you give me money? That doesn't happen usually. And if it does happen, then they just justify why you shouldn't give them a tip.
Yeah, exactly. You got to get better at saying no.
But sometimes in the moment, you see that little screen. Maybe you're not an electronic person. You don't know how to work the tablet. And you're like, how do I get off this screen?
They can see where my finger goes, even though they can't see exactly what I touch. They know. And I don't think they do know on those little, when they turn the tablet around. Yeah.
I'm telling you, they don't care, because every time I press no, they just move on to the next customer. Yeah. And so if you press no right after me, it's not going to be anything different.
If they do spit in your stuff, you can't taste it.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
Tipping. There's nothing that gets people riled up like tipping. Zach says, my grandfather used to leave 2 pennies for bad service, because if you leave no tip at all, they might think you just forgot to tip, but leaving pennies lets the server know that it was poor service. You like that, Isaiah?
That's aggressive.
I want to know how many times did your grandfather get bad service that you even knew that was like a thing he did? Did that come up a lot? Sounds like he could have been a harsh critic.
He wants good service.
He had some high standards.
Come here, Zachary. Let me show you what we do when people give us bad service. 2 pennies on the dot.
Hop up on Grandpa's knee. Let me show you what to do when they don't refill your coffee. Justin says the things we are missing of people we need to tip. You also tip the guys at the car wash. What guys?
The guys that wash your car.
Isn't it like a robot? When I go, it's usually a robot, or I do it myself.
He must be getting the hand spray.
Yeah. I guess sure. Also, the trash man and the mailman. I've heard that you tip them, but I've never done it. I don't even know. I don't know if it's the same mailman every day. I never know.
It probably is.
I'm never there.
You've never introduced yourself?
No, I've never had a face-to-face
You're there
with the mailman or the garbage man. And how much do you give them?
Whatever you're feeling.
Like, what is 20% of nothing? I don't pay them. I don't pay the mailman.
Because, like, if you give them, like, a $5 bill, does that feel like nothing?
Yeah, that's insulting to them. I might as well have given them 2 pennies.
I might as well have not even talked to them.
Yeah.
Do I need to give them a $20 bill?
Mm-hmm.
Does that feel more substantial?
It feels like, if you're tipping them for what, the whole year, it feels like it needs to be even more than that.
More than that, you're thinking a $100 bill.
Yeah.
And that's just not in my budget.
No, it's not. D says you also tip the dog groomer.
I agree.
That actually makes sense. But to me, that just falls under barber. Me and my dog actually go to the same barber, so explains my haircut.
Yeah. Yeah, whenever I take Jim in, I always make sure to tip, because I know what they have to deal with in there, and I know it can't be pretty.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Regina says if it's bad service, she leaves 10%, which in the olden days, like you go back not that long ago, 10%, that's just what you would give. Now we're up to 20 and bad is 10. And then Jim said, You made my stomach turn. If they spit in your food, you can't taste it. I mean, it was funny, but an unsettling thought. But it's true, isn't it?
With the spit thing?
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's ever spit in my food.
Exactly.
I can only hope not.
Exactly.
If you spit in my food because I didn't give you a tip, then you're just a bad person.
Yeah, once again, justifying the idea that you didn't, that you shouldn't have tipped them in the first place.
Like, you just want me to give you money? You're going to be that upset that I didn't give it to you?
Yeah.
Sounds crazy.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, like I said, nothing gets people riled up like talking about tipping. It feels like nobody wants to do it except Justin. Justin tipping everybody.
Find more Riot content online. Riot.radiou.com.